how to make way better YouTube thumbnails. Hey, what is up guys? It is Harrison Barron, the One Entrepreneur, and like I just said, how do you create really good thumbnails? I want to actually show you guys the process and honestly the secret that I found that works really, really well and actually has gotten me to the point where I can make, I would say, good thumbnails at this point. Now, yes, I'm not a million follower channel, or not yet at least, but there's a lot of things that when I first started out YouTube, and honestly, anything in the digital marketing world, I was so caught up. I was so stressed about like, hey, I really need good images. So I actually want to share with you guys the process that I go through that has helped me tremendously when making my either YouTube thumbnails or honestly really images for just about anything. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I get a lot of people that are like, oh my God, how'd you make this image? I'm putting myself out there, guys. I don't make a lot of these myself. Well, that's not entirely true. I use a lot of templates, but I just changed them up a lot. So I want to share with you guys the process that I use that has made my life a million times easier. That way you guys can succeed the same way that at least I have succeeded, or at least I've just found artwork that I really, really enjoy and really, really like. So I'm going to share with you guys the process. I'm jumping into YouTube here. And ultimately, I just want to share with you guys the channel, my thumbnails, and ultimately how the process is for me and really kind of where I was and where I've gotten to. So let's jump over to my computer here, and I'm going to just pull up my channel here really quick, and you guys are going to see my lovely self in there. But that's really not what I want to bring up. What I want to bring up is actually my oldest videos, right? So, I mean, these thumbnails were pretty awful. I've paid a friend to do this one down here, but for the most part, right, I started out, I used to just leave it as the image of myself, right? That was more of the trailer for the channel, and then I progressively just made more and more content, and then like I thought I was a genius for figuring out this one, right? How to get the best virtual assistant for you, right? Knowing this before you start a business. I really thought I was onto something with a lot of these, and I'm so glad. It took me a little longer than I would have liked to admit, but after, I don't know, what is that, there's 6 videos in each row, so you're talking about 30 or 40 videos later, I kind of figured out the style, and then I went with the blue background, and the way I kind of got to this was I wasn't loving this. It was punchy, but I really wasn't sure, and I would have to go through it. It was a really long process, and ultimately, one of the guys, John in my old office, he's like, hey man, I was like, what do you use to make your thumbnails? Because quite honestly, I'm struggling. He's, oh, I use PicMonkey, right? So I was like, okay, sounds great. So him and I split an account, no surprise there. But the cool part is you can actually see the evolution of it, right? So you'll see the blue background, and then you see the nice little bar behind me. So I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. I was super, super tiny, right? It was like my collarbones up, and it was just like I was just barely in the picture, but I was learning. It took a little while, and then for a while I went and started using just the same image over and over and over again, and that actually worked out pretty well. I started to mess around with the settings inside the program I'm about to show you, which I'm probably sure you've already creeped and saw that it's PicMonkey here, but I want to share with you guys the process that I went through. Now, had I done this all over again, there's a couple things I probably would have done differently, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. And then you can see I start integrating other colored backgrounds into here, right? 5 months ago. It's actually kind of freaky how fast you zip through time and go to 5 months. But you can actually see like the literal process that I started to follow, right, to make my new thumbnails. And I'm still testing to figure out what thumbnail is the best, right? My more recent video, better yet, I can go right back up here and do my newest video, and you can actually see that I started incorporating green in there. So does green help? I don't know. I'm constantly testing to see what's going to be the best. Do lighter backgrounds work better? Do darker backgrounds work better? But I want to share with you guys the secret that I found, and that's actually starting with a template. So I use a program called PicMonkey. I happen to really, really like PicMonkey for the fact that it does 2 things that I think are really, really valuable, and I'm actually going to share that with you guys right now. So the cool part is you can go right in here. Right, you can just click and figure out what kind of template you're looking for. Now, if you're like, hey, I don't really know, I just know that I need a template, or maybe I need a size and I want to start from scratch, you could literally go in here and select a blank canvas and pick from any of these dozens of choices. I mean, you name it, it's going to be in here. You have print size, video, online ads, right? So on a lot of it, I just use YouTube, right? And it should bring me to the YouTube section in here. And then you'll see YouTube, right? So is it a YouTube display ad long? Is it overlay ad? Is it a thumbnail, right? Display ad, channel icon, channel art, right? And it pre-fills out the size for you, which is really, really nice. And then literally just click it and it starts from scratch. But this is not the process I want to go through. The process I want to go through is actually using a template, because I think a lot of people, they're like, well, I need it to look unique, right? You can make any template look unique, as I just went over in one of my more recent videos, right? You can just take a template and make it your own. So they give you a bunch of templates here, which I really do like. And some of them might be your thing, and some of them might not really tickle your fancy, and that's okay either way, right? You'll see a bunch of them in here. I mean, this is a pretty long scrolling section in here. And the cool part is on my personal blog, I don't really have a theme that I follow when it comes to my blog, and actually YouTube thumbnails are the same size as the blog images on my blog. So a lot of these originated, not all of them, but a lot of them, when I really have time to go make them, you'll see that some of them are a little more stylized than others, right? LinkedIn executive profile, right? LinkedIn, I made a lot of these. I didn't make all of them, but I made a lot of these, and sometimes I just use a more generic image. But this is how I started it, right? I started out with a YouTube thumbnail, and I just figured out that happened to work pretty good, right? So you just go through here and you just figure out kind of what tickles your fancy, and then honestly swapping stuff out, and you don't have to necessarily keep it exactly the way it is, right? You can have, let's just take this one. I kind of like this one, right? This lady is running here, and this is a whole image, right? And they have this little overlay over here, and you'll start to look at it. The more you do this, the more you'll realize, like, layering images and stuff like that. But I want to get rid of her. I'm going to drop in a picture of me, right? And will I use this thumbnail? Heck, I'll probably use this thumbnail in this video, and we'll just see what happens, right? I don't have a picture of me currently in this picture, in this the shirt that I'm wearing, but nobody's going to know. I mean, now you know that I didn't wear the same shirt, but I'm just going to pull up a little area on the side where I take and store all my images of me. Right, you guys can't necessarily see this, but I'm just going to look for a similar image, or better yet, I have an image of me wearing this shirt already from way a long time ago. I can tell you right now, it's from April 5th. So I have a bunch of pictures from April 5th. I am going to just drag one in, and this is the image that I'm currently looking at, right? Obviously, it's darker in my room now, so it's not even the same time of day. And then this is probably my favorite feature on this program, which is called remove background. Now, normally, if somebody needed this, you can go to remove.bg, and this would solve most of your problems. However, you do have to pay for it after a certain period of time. You do get a certain amount of credits, right, on a free account, but you do have to pay for it. Is it expensive? No, it's very, very cheap. I think I still even have credits on my account. But here's the thing. I don't need to do that anymore. Now, you can use, or at least you used to be able to use it and get a very low-res image, which is fine. And then here, you have a picture of me, right? I mean, kind of ironic that the background's red, but you can see this. Now, some of my favorite things is kind of looking at the way it flows, right? So the girl that was in this one was back here, right? I don't particularly like that this odd shape, I guess. I almost said oblong. It's not really oblong, but the shape is in here. It's kind of messing with my flow. All right, I like that a little more, right? Not feeling it. Just not feeling it. But you could just take it and mess around with it, right? Obviously, you see in a lot of my thumbnails, you see the white background or the white outline, right? And none of this is by mistake, by the way. You need to go back and look at what is in your industry. What are people doing? So if I go to, let's just go to digital marketing. You're going to start to see a common theme, right? Most people are going to be on the right-hand side, right? Right-hand side, white outline. He's on the left. She's in the middle, right? Right-hand side, middle, right, middle, right. It wasn't really that way in the beginning, but for the most part, usually people are on the right-hand side. Now, this is Ahrefs. They could have definitely changed their style from then till now. But the overwhelming majority of people are going to be on the right-hand side. Noah Kagan, dude's an absolute gangster. You'll see. I mean, right, center, a little off to the left. Right. We already went up there. Right, center, right. He happens to be on the left. Kind of strange. This, I don't particularly know. I mean, she's got a lot of views on there. That's Steve Jobs back in the day. No person, middle, split, middle. I mean, for the most part, and it depends on what you see and when you're looking at it, right? He's on the left, but he's got that white outline, another left white outline. you'll start to see a common theme, right? People are usually smiling, they're looking at something, there's usually white outlines. Now, is that the case for everybody? Absolutely not. But it is the case for a lot of these. So this is just a place that I like to start and really go in and grab at least an idea of where I want to be with it. So maybe I don't want to do the background in that little triangle that I normally have on my channel, right? You can normally see that there's usually a triangle shape in my channel, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not loving the fact that this is cutting me off here, but I do actually really like. Let me put me over it. Perfect. Now I'm vibing with this here. And then we have, the title here. So it gives you options, right? You can go in here, you can add text, you can look at the pre-text that it makes for you, or you can just go in, you can grab whatever text that you happen to like in here. So in this case, I don't know, I'm just going to say, how to make a YouTube thumbnail. How to YouTube How to YouTube thumbnails, right? Simple enough. It gets the point across, right? And now I just got to figure out how I'm going to place it. And I don't want to say that I'm done, right? Now that I kind of have a great baseline of where I'm at, now I could go back and start to really play around with this, right? So is it too much red? I definitely want to make the text pop a little bit, so I'll probably use a little drop shadow. So now it pops a bit more, right? And maybe I'll do an outline. I could definitely do a little darker of a red. I think the darker red would probably be pretty cool. So somewhere in there, right? Not flowing, and you just got to play around with this. There's no secret sauce. I'm not going to sit here and make you guys wait forever, but maybe there is no outline for it, or maybe it's an outline, but it's a very thin black outline, and maybe it's just like 2 pixels here, right? So at least it pops out a little bit more, and I actually kind of like the way this looks. Now, the crazy part is when you first release your YouTube videos, you may find something that you like, you may not find something that you love, and go back and look at the thumbnail that I used in this video, right? Is it the exact same one? Did I go back and edit and tweak it and modify it? I don't know, but this is the starting process, right? There's no need to start from scratch here, and the best part is depending on what platform you're on, there's Instagram images on here, and most people know Canva. I just happen to really like this one, Instagram. It'll give you a ton of content here. I mean, you have your Instagram posts, Instagram highlights, Instagram profiles, Instagram questions. I mean, it's just a home run, honestly, and it'll make your life so much easier. But stop trying to think outside the box and create something new. You can, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but when you're first starting out, you're better off getting you're better off doing good than amazing, because if you go for amazing, it might take you 4 days to make a thumbnail. You can make 10 pieces of content in 4 days. Go spend that time on making that content and worry less about your thumbnail. Now, your thumbnail is really, really important. If you're watching this video, you've probably done some homework on the YouTube algorithm, right? Your thumbnail does play a big part, the click-through rate. But, I mean, there's a ton of ideas in here. Just kind of grab something that you flow with or you vibe with and go from there. I mean, this girl has pink hair, right? You'll see this. I've used this one on so many times on multiple blog posts, but just find out what works for you. I've used this one on blog posts. I've used most of these on blog posts. And it's just figuring out what works versus what doesn't work. And you're going to come up, and after you do it, just like my thumbnails here, if we go from the oldest to the newest, I mean, you'll see, you can literally watch the transformation come through of how my thumbnails worked, right? You see, I put, it was just me talking about that, right? Podcast to $100,000, right? What's the problem here? $1 to $1,000 kickstart. I mean, these are all, they're honestly all great videos. I don't think I've recorded really a bad video in my opinion, but these are all different thumbnails that it took a long time. I can't believe that's almost 200 videos already, but you could literally follow the whole process, right? And you can start to see, oh, okay, there's a common theme, right? It's always going to be me on the right-hand side with white outline. I pop out a little bit, and then let me pull up my page here so you guys could see the bottom of it. But that's kind of the whole process. I think that a lot of people really stress out about like how it's going to look, and quite honestly, it just needs to look good. It doesn't need to look anything too crazy, right? And you'll figure it out over time. Don't stress so much about your first thumbnails. Your first thumbnails are probably going to stink, even if you use a template. So that's my advice on thumbnail templates. This is how I create a lot of images on pretty much every piece of social media or any platform we work with, right? It's a great piece of software. It's way less complicated than Photoshop everybody knows, or Lightroom or anything like that. It's going to make it makes my life a million times easier. I know it's going to make your life a million times easier. There's a link down below. I don't even think I'm an affiliate, but this is I just want to give you the process, because so many people are like, how'd you make that blog title? How'd you make this piece of art? How'd you do this? This is it, right? I'm a creative kind of guy, but I'm not that creative. I just figure out what works and keep making better and better and better. And now that I'm 200 and something videos in, right? I have a fair amount of experience, 232 videos in. I have a fair amount of experience in making thumbnails. Am I the best? Absolutely not. But I could definitely hold my own and make at least something that's appealing. And I really looked at a lot of templates. I went through hundreds of templates till I found the style that worked for me and what I enjoyed, and hopefully what my audience enjoys. So I hope this video helps. I hope I've encouraged you to stress less about it and go from there. So my name's Harrison, the Millennial Entrepreneur. If this helps, or if you have somebody that's struggling making thumbnails, hit that share button. My brain's fried today. It's the end of the day. We just came back from all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue for my girlfriend's birthday. That's it. Love you guys. Peace.